Good morning from actual room 203. I'm in my chair. Look at my chair in a minute. We were led into the school only for a little bit to gather some things that we are going to need to teach you guys from home. So I believe on Monday you should be able to come to the school and pick up the things that you need, Chromebooks, whatever, if you don't have one already at home, functioning, things like that. So this is getting serious. We're really learning now, okay? Not just for funsies. And I'm hoping that we get to make more memories. I'm gonna cry. Okay, but I wanted to show you good old room 203. Take a look-see. Exactly how we left it. Nice and dirty. Yep, beautiful, beautiful. So hopefully we see each other soon and we're back in this room just like old times. Crossing my fingers. I love you. Miss you all. Mwah. Alrighty, welcome back, people. I have a guest, as promised, Mr. Fiance.
Hello.
So we are just going to cover, and yes, it's cold today.
We're gonna cover.
We are going to cover mental health and how you can stay mentally healthy during this time. This can apply to anybody. If you're watching at home and you're an adult, I would say heed a lot of what we're going to talk about today because it could help anybody right now going through whatever they're going through. So, with that being said, Mr. Fiance, what is your real name?
I like Mr. Fiance. Can I just stick with that?
That was clever. That was clever.
My real name is Jose Teniente.
Jose Teniente. Jose Teniente.
Jose.
That made my throat itch. Jose Teniente. Okay, Jose, or Mr. Teniente, since we're staying formal here. Where did you go to school? Tell us about where you're getting your expertise from.
Where I went to school. Actually, so my college education started at Texas Tech. Probably noticed. I was there for 4 years. I worked in a clinic for 2 years, watching students with autism, doing some research with them. And then I went up to Denver, we both went up to Denver, and I did graduate school up there. And then now we're back home.
So you've had about, we got it all together, it's like 7 years of college and grad school. See, I'm telling y'all complaining about school, 7 years. Okay, anyway, whatever. So 7 years, so safe to say that you've got some experience. And what is it that you do now? I say to the kids a lot that you're a school psychologist, but what does that mean?
So, yeah, school psychologist, I basically wear a bunch of hats. In any way, I guess if I were to break it down to one sentence, I support students. But as we know, every student has different needs, different things that they need to have access to in order to learn education, in order to learn things the way you and I do. So quite simply, I just do whatever it is schools need me to do. So
really cool. I can give you kind of just an idea. Say I have a kid as your teacher. Say I have a student, or I have one of you that I'm like, man, I don't know. I can't get this person motivated. They're not doing their work. And I mean, these are kind of like extremes, right? Like behavior's off or something. And I'm like, what do they need? What do they need? I might call in Mr. Fiance, which Mr. Teniente, and ask him for support. And he would come in and maybe observe you a little bit and see what he can come up with to possibly solve some of those problems. So he really is just a support. He supports students, and sometimes that means he supports teachers so they can support students and things like that. But a lot of it is centered more around the mental and the emotional part of a student, whereas like me, I focus more on your academics. Unless you're telling me about your boyfriend or girlfriend. But other than that, he's really there for that kind of thing. So.
And then even then, if you're having if you're having one academic issue and it's not a content thing, it's something really narrow, I'm trained in giving you guys some assessments and things, and we can break down what exactly is what you're struggling with academically if we needed to go into that world, I guess.
So very cool. I mean, this is cool stuff, right? I find this interesting. I normally ask him a lot of questions about how to help you guys So he knows what he's talking about, I think. I don't know, I'm biased. But we're going to ask him a couple of questions. I don't know where my questions are. There they are on my phone. So to start off with, Mr. Fiance, in your expertise, what would you say are some do's and don'ts right now when it comes to preserving our mental health amongst our quarantine situation?
Okay, do find a space that's yours. That can look like a corner in the house. Maybe you take a longer bathroom break, you know, and you just need some time to scroll. Come on, we all surf and squat and surf. We all squat and surf, okay? Yeah, so just find a space that's yours. That could look like those things, like I said. It could look like a walk, maybe a longer walk that's for you. If you have any pets, it's just you spending time with your pet in the backyard. So those are some do's. Some don'ts is don't get fixated on kind of what's going on right now. And when I say that, I don't mean like don't keep up with it. I just mean like this virus isn't something that's going to be here forever, essentially. Like we are going to move past. It will be a part of history. It won't always be your present. So I would say just don't let that cloud the way, like the decisions you make now, the way you act now. You know, you still have options. You got things you can do. You got things you can grow in, and just focus on those. So
I love it. I love that. So do's, find your own space. Don't get bogged down by everything in the news, maybe everything you're hearing, things like that. So I love that. Surf and squat. Is that what you call it?
Or squat and surf.
Squat and
surf, because you have to squat first, and then you pull out your phone.
I love that. I'm gonna make that like a hashtag or something.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so second question. What if students are feeling worried just because people around them are worried? What would you recommend that they do? And how do you think that they should handle the people around them being so worried and stressed out, maybe and anxious about what's going on?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. First of all, you should know that it's okay to be worried, and it's okay to feel a little anxious about this. Everyone's feeling it. We're all feeling some kind of response from what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. Second thing to know is that the way you were worried and the way you handle it is going to look very different from student to student because it depends on your situation. If you're a student who's watching younger siblings, maybe you have to deal with your younger siblings being overly worried about what's going on. And that's just because they're young. They're not thinking about this logically like the way you and I are. They're probably just seeing mom's face, dad's face, grandma's face, your face, reactions, an angry man on the news yelling at reporters. Like they're probably just seeing a bunch of emotions, and they're like a mirror. They're just showing you what they're seeing. So if you have younger siblings who are reacting really severely to this, just remind them, one, they're kids. Let's do something kid that's fun. And two, just let them know that the adults are going to handle this. This will pass. It's not like it's something that's happening just over there and it might come and get us. It's a virus. It's invisible. It's everywhere. But in the same time, it's something that we can beat pretty easily if we just stay here. So the kid's probably thinking like, oh, how are we going to get out of this? And you could just tell them, we're already out of it. We're here. We're in the house. This is how we fight the virus. So I think if you're in a position like that, that's what you could do. Now, if you're a student who participates in supporting the family, if you're a student who participates in helping mom, helping dad, then tensions are probably really high right now. I would just ask them how you can help more. What are some other things I can do? What are some things or just have a conversation with your parents? You know, what do you guys think about this? You know, I think that would be something really cool because then you get to learn a little more about how your parents are thinking this. Because chances are your parents' reaction isn't matching what they're thinking, right? So chances are your parents are like, oh my gosh, it's freaking out. But they probably have a plan somewhere, you know? They're probably thinking a little bit ahead. And if that's the case, maybe they'll share that with you and that can make you feel a little better. But also if they say, hey, thanks for asking, here's what you can do, then you have a role to fill again. Which makes, when we have roles to fill, our mental health just is so positive whenever we feel like we're doing something that's meaningful.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend, just depending on your circumstance, really.
I like that last one. I know for me, especially at the beginning of the week, the end of last week, I was feeling really anxious, and something that I saw in my neighborhood was an opportunity to give and donate some toiletries to our senior center for our neighborhood. And that for me just gave me a whole sense of purpose. I mean, what I normally do is I help you guys all the time. Well, now I can't see you guys. So I'm like, who am I supposed to help? And so for me, that took away my role. And so mentally, I was kind of in like this like helpless, purposeless space, I guess. Space. So having to find ways to, like you said, upkeep our roles, I think that's a really cool thing. And you guys have an opportunity as probably the older sibling in your household to take care of your younger siblings, to help your mom and dad, like you saying, or whoever's in charge in your household. Right now, more than ever, that's probably going to go a long ways. And it's as simple as like maybe not even complaining about having to do it. I know that that's hard for us as teenagers to not complain, but
yeah, like if you don't want to take on more because you feel like you're already doing a bunch, then maybe you could just say like, and my way of helping is doing what I normally do without, maybe back talk or complaining. Yeah,
yes,
whatever.
exactly. And I know it's hard. I definitely remember those days, but not complaining and just being a super big helpful person right now could be really more fulfilling for you than anything else. So good. Next question that I have, let me pull up my questions. How can students remain positive during this time? It kind of feeds into what we just talked about, but how can students stay in a mindset that's not just like, oh my god, we're all doomed, we're gonna die? Because we're not gonna die. That's really dramatic. Don't be dramatic.
Right.
Go ahead.
So to start with that, don't be dramatic, for sure. Chances are not everyone's gonna get it. Like seriously, chances are not every single person's gonna get it. And the way that we're responding right now is very proactive. We could have been a little more proactive, but it's very proactive in the sense that we're all restraining ourselves to be in one area, just so that way we don't make it spread anymore. So I would say that's one thing, is just know what the real numbers are, know what like the actual way to stop this would be. But something else I would say is, here's an activity you can do, okay? On one side, you'll make two lists basically. And on one side of the list, you can write down things that you want to do, like to do, or wish you could do. We all have some things where like, oh, if I had more time, then I could focus on X, Y, or Z. And then on the other side, I want you to write down what your days used to look like and then see if they match. Chances are they don't match. Most people, I think the actual stat, if you want an actual thing, is it's like 92% of the time do the matches don't match, is what I mean to say. The list won't match, which is a lot of people. That means we're all basically walking around with things that we want to do but just never have the opportunity to do it because we're working too much. We're going to school all the time. I got obligations after school. I got obligations before school. I'm tired after all my obligations. Now is the time to enjoy some of those things that you've either been putting off, been wanting to do, been wanting to learn about, been wanting to explore. I would say definitely engage in those things. Like that's going to pay off so much right now.
So what I'm hearing, just to reiterate, I feel like that's how you do a good interview, is he's kind of saying to stay positive during this time is make some goals that you can look forward to, that come from this list of things that you've been wanting to do but maybe haven't had the time. And then also being kind of logical in like knowing that you still have stuff that you have to do, making two lists and then merging the two together so that way you are still being productive but still working towards bettering yourself. I think that's a really cool activity for you guys to do. And again, if you're like an adult watching this, do that for you as well. I mean, I'm gonna do that.
Right. I mean, yeah, because if you think about it, if as students, especially if we're sticking with students, you could literally write your day like wake up at I used to wake up at 7:30, go to school for 8 hours, work again. Well, now you have 8 hours of going to school, kind of just free. So now you can move some of the things you like to do right over.
Including hugging your dog, who's a big old baby. She doesn't realize she's 1,000,000 pounds. Okay, so these are all really cool things. And
All right, Liz.
Lizzie, stop making out with me right now. Come on, you're ruining the video. Okay. To kind of wrap up, some things that I know he talked about, and I think you guys would find helpful for you during this time, and what I want you to do at home if you are watching and you are one of my students or not, is to come up with, it sounds like, 2 lists. Number one, what do you want to do? Number two, what do you have to do? Merging those 2 together and coming up with some sort of schedule or routine that you can follow in the next couple of weeks while we're still under quarantine. So these things can include like video game time. These things can include scroll time, scroll and squat time.
Squat and scroll. Or squat and serve.
Squat and serve time. These things can include taking a walk, playing with your dog. And they can include checking in with Miss Rodriguez's YouTubes and doing her lessons.
There we go.
They can also include reading a book or finding something productive for you that you still have to do. Taking care of your sisters, making lunch for them, your brothers, whatever, right? So a schedule that you can use from these 2 lists to merge together to make sure you're still doing the things you have to do, but then also doing the things you want to do, because we have a really cool opportunity right now to engage in things and do things for ourselves, because you don't gotta go to school, right? You don't have to answer to these people at this time. Obviously still answer to your parents or whatever, but definitely you have more time on your hands than you've had in the past maybe. So I think it's super duper cool opportunity, and let us know how it goes, right? Like, subscribe, and you can comment down below like, Miss, I made a schedule and it was really successful, or Miss, I made a schedule and I didn't follow it, and whatever, right? Just this is an opportunity for us to be talking about it, and definitely taking into consideration things that we can do. If you have a question, also comment down below, ask your question, and we will look at it, whether it's like, what are some apps that I can use on my phone that might help me be productive right now? Maybe it's just like a general mental health question. If you're nervous about asking that like publicly on the comment section, I do officially have 2 other platforms up and running. That is my Twitter account. It's Miss Rodriguez 203 Twitter. If you want to access that, you can DM me on that, or I also have a blog up and going. So I'm going to link all of these things into my videos, so that way you can keep up with me and ask any questions and have me just at your fingertips, because like I said, my fulfillment comes from helping you guys, and I definitely am missing that fulfillment so much. So all of those things being said, you got anything else?
Nope, besides the fact that yeah, if you let us know what you need, Miss Rodriguez know what you need, we can get you there. I mean, Miss Rodriguez and I have all kinds of interests that expand school, so we kind of know how to get you in touch with a lot of different things, regardless of what you want to do. So,
how does that sound? Okay, I'm going to end this video. I love you all. I missed you all. Have a fantastic weekend. I won't be posting lessons over the weekend, but I will be keeping you up to date through some probably funny videos of us doing shenanigan things. But I love you all. See you next time.